Welcome to Saturday Morning Retro, episode 23, a podcast focused on retro gaming and giving ourselves an excuse to play our collection. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/RatedG4Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man? Episode 23. I feel like
23, man. Episode 23.
I know it's. I feel like it was just like a few months ago we were discussing, hey, why don't we do a podcast about retro games? Right?
Yeah,
like
that's true. That's true.
Let's do a second podcast. Let's do another
second podcast.
And just and put all the retro stuff in that one, and all the current stuff we'll keep in the other one.
You know, that's the good conversation you want to have, right? When you're like doing a thing and you're like, why don't we do a second version of that thing? And I love the show. I don't know about you. I also love the regular Rated G show, but Saturday Morning Retro is awesome because a lot of people, and this is of my own doing a little bit, but a lot of people accuse me of just being a person who likes the video games on the shelf, and that's it.
Shelf hoarder?
Like a shelf. Thank you. Hoarder. Hoarder is the PC term, yeah. Shelf hoarder, right? Just picking up the games and not really playing them.
Wait. Hoarder is the PC term? Then I would love to hear the non-PC term. I can't even think of what
I'll let you know. I'll let you know off the mic, Stan. Come on, it's 2022. We're trying to be progressive here.
I don't even know what they would call you.
Oh, no. Hoarder is an okay term, I think.
I can't even think of an offensive thing to say.
Trust me, I got at least 10 of them that aren't even the word that I'm thinking of, but it's okay.
Wow.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it 100 here, folks. Trying to keep it 100. But I love the show. There's a lot of games that I may not have necessarily played, even though I do own them, and a lot of these games that I love, especially the game that's coming up today. But
I will say since we've done this show, I mean, God, we're almost at episode 24, so it'd be like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like 2 years. I'm not even saying that, like I'm being like realistic, like I'm being real with you. Like it doesn't even feel like it was 2 years.
I know.
Right, and we do this once a month, so I look forward to the Saturday Morning Retro shows because it forces me to pick a game to play. Right, because I feel like, as a collector, I feel the opposite when I was a kid. Right, when you're a kid, you get a game, good, bad, or indifferent. Like that's what you're playing for 6 months. All right,
yeah.
You get good at it, and you're nostalgic. That's why a lot of people are nostalgic for bad games because that was the only game they had to play until Christmas. Right, they got it on their birthday or they got it in the summer, and that was it until Christmas. I feel the opposite. I have so many games. I'm like overwhelmed where I don't know what to play, so I don't play as much, right? People always think, oh, you must play games like 24/7. They're like, no, I have so much. I have no idea what to get into, especially if it's a game that I start, I think I want to play, and then I don't know if I really want to play this, right? And then you start jumping around, and then you don't really invest yourself in the game. And doing this show, if I pick a game, that's it, right? Like, especially if I put some time into it, like I can't go back.
That's right.
I've already committed to this is what I'm going to do for the show. I got to keep playing it.
They all can't be winners, and I think that's
no,
part
it's
of
not even. But it's not even about being a winner or a loser. It's not about being like good or bad, right? Like it could be some good games. I'm just not in the mood to play that game, right? But I've committed to it, so I got to like say, all right, I'm going to do it. And then I end up, really liking the game. Like the game today I'm going to talk about. I just put it in to do like a test run, and I ended up beating the game.
Yeah,
because I was like, oh, all right. Well, then I said, I'll use it for the show, and then I'll play it again. And I beat it again. But I just want to say, I love doing the Saturday Morning Retro shows. It's secretly now my favorite show. I think it's overtaken the first show.
Well, and maybe it's not a secret anymore, Dan.
It's about just like Marvel Phase 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't even know what phase we're in. You know, the secret wars that are coming up.
So much
Right.
good stuff coming up. I mean,
I know.
we got a lot to talk about on our main show.
Yeah, we do. All right, Dave. We have an awesome show this month. Right. We're gonna dig into our backlog, and I'm gonna talk about Guardian Heroes for the Saturn, and you're gonna talk about Blood for the PC. Not the actual Blood, but the video game Blood.
Yes.
But before we get into any of that, let's begin the show. Well, we begin every Saturday morning retro show with this time in gaming history, and I know Dave would love this part because he's a huge Final Fantasy fan.
That's right. Some may say the biggest.
Some may say some, and I know we're going. I know we're going PC. We just talked about being PC, because I had the triple F.
That's right.
We're talking about Dave and his obsession for Final Fantasy, and I would say
healthy obsession.
Final Fantasy.
But hey, you like some of the series. You just don't like the turn-based stuff.
I like one turn-based, and that's it. I don't really like any other Final Fantasy. Maybe 16 will make it. Maybe I like 16.
You like 15 and you like 7.
I love 7.
Stranger in Paradise is a Final Fantasy game. All right, it is in that universe.
And Stranger in Paradise is not a game I love or like. Well, it's okay. But this time, 22 years ago, this month, 22 years ago, July 7th, 2000, Final Fantasy IX was released.
I am so glad that this is our gaming history this month. So I have some backstory on this. If you want to hear it, Dan. So
please share.
Okay, so we know that the PlayStation 2 came out that fall 2000, right?
Yes.
It was a big launch. Came out in the holiday season. I forget exactly when. I think it may have been October. Maybe early November. I'm not 100% sure. I know the original PlayStation came out December 6th, I think. But I think this was a month or two earlier. Regardless, this was one of the last big releases to be solely released on the PlayStation 1. All right. This was right on the heels of the PS2. Final Fantasy X, I'm going to assume at this point, was in production. I am positive that Squaresoft had, and they were Squaresoft at the time. They weren't Square Enix. They didn't buy Enix yet. That was a couple of years later. I'm sure they had dev kits for the PS2. Oh yeah. That was like really? 2002, 2003. I didn't realize
that. I didn't realize that. Okay.
So Enix was still doing their, Dragon Quest / Dragon Warrior thing. I guess it was Dragon Quest across the board at that point. But so this was like a really big release. Came out over the summer, right? Which is atypical for a lot of these games. Usually they come out around the holidays, like the big AAA games. We didn't really have the 2 Christmases, right? All the games leading up to Christmas, and then all the games afterwards that couldn't make the cut for Christmas would come out. We have that now, and that was like a new thing. It still kind of is a new thing, right? We always used to think like the games that would come out after Christmas would just be like the shovelware stuff that nobody wanted. We always joke about, that. So, but this game came out over the summer. I picked it up when it came out. I was working at EB at the time, Electronics Boutique. I love this game, with the exception of the ending. Kind of goes off the rails on disc 4, I gotta say, but up until that point, it was pretty awesome. They went back to its roots.
Isn't this like your favorite Final Fantasy game, or is that 8?
6. No, 8 is like trash tier, Dan. Come on.
Okay. All right. I forget. I know it's not 7, which what it should be, but
no. Everyone thinks 7 is the best, and they think that 7 is the best.
7 is the best. It's a great number, and it's the best Final Fantasy.
The true Final Fantasy fans know 6 is the best. I'm sorry. You just got to -1 off that, and then there you go. But this was a return to its roots in a way. It was still 3D, but there were super deformed characters like the previous games. The crystals played a huge part in it. It was high fantasy. They got rid of all the kind of technological stuff that 6 started. 7 did right, and 8 took it way too far, and people kind of didn't like it. There's a lot of reasons they didn't like 8, but yeah. And they did release 7 and 8 on the PC. For some reason, I don't know why, but they didn't do a box PC release for Final Fantasy IX on PC. And I really wish they did. I mean, I owned a PlayStation 1 at the time. And eventually a PS2, but yeah, they just did 7 and 8 for whatever reason. Okay. And it is a good game. There is a remaster out of it on all major platforms, so you can get a digital version. I think there may be a physical kicking around at some point, but I think all 3 platforms have it.
I'll tell you, I have a sealed copy of Final Fantasy IX that I got from Square Enix one holiday season. Remember when I told you, hey, they're selling PS1 game? Yep. I ordered it and I have it sealed. There you go. Nothing is really sealed in my collection because everything is so bundled up together because I don't have that much room that like the plastic's broken on
at
a lot
this
of
point.
stuff.
Oh yeah, everything kind of rubs together and yeah.
When you know every time you try to fit new games in, like you rub the plastic, and so it's nothing's really sealed. Not to mention, my thoughts on sealing. So,
I know.
All right, that's what's up. All right,
Yeah.
I listen. I know you're fine. You have a fondness for Final Fantasy. That's why I chose Final Fantasy.
9 is definitely one of the better ones. Sans the ending.
Is it top 3? Is it top 3?
Oh no, not even close.
No,
not even close.
Just wanted to see. Just wanted to make sure.
I would say 6, 4, and then maybe 7.
7.5. Come on, listen. It is asinine, and you need to be, institutionalized if you don't have 7 in your top 3. You don't need to have, it doesn't need to be number 1, but it needs to be top 3. Come on, Final Fantasy.
Part of the reason I criticize it so much is that the English translation was trashed here.
It was so bad it was good. Come on.
No, it was bad. Like, they had typos and spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes. So it wasn't even that it was cheesy. It was cheesy and it was wrong.
It wasn't The Legend of Zelda, part 2 bad. Come on.
Yeah, parts of the dialogue were. Yeah.
I disagree, and I don't even
says the man who didn't play that much of the original. The remake.
I didn't beat it.
The remake is completely redone, so the remake doesn't count. Remake has
no. The remake is a
translation.
Different game essentially. But let's not get twisted. I did play Final Fantasy VII. I may not have beaten it, but I did play a lot of it. I got what was going on.
Did you get past disc 1?
No. I don't remember.
No,
I don't remember.
Definitely didn't get past disc 1.
But I did play. Well, you know what?
You didn't even get outside of Midgar, which technically is most of disc 1, or at least half of disc 1. But I'm telling you, I played that game multiple times.
I'm proud. I got out of the first section.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. You set off the bomb in reactor 7.
Knowing how much I hate turn-based games, it's surprising that I got out of the first boss battle. Okay, so all right, Dave. Talking about being a collector, do you have any good pickups this month?
Most definitely. GameStop, they may actually still even be running the 4 for $20 situation, trying to get rid of their pre-owned overstock. And so it's any 4 games that are $10 and under. And I got a PS5 game, Dan, for less than $10.
I believe it.
For $5. Puyo Puyo Cross Tetris Part 2 for the PS5.
Didn't even know they made a sequel.
Oh, yeah. Not wildly different than the first one, which I owned for the Switch. But
me too. We got the keychain. I got the special edition.
It's still good. Yeah. It's a solid game. And I have to say, the computer AI in the first one, I haven't played Part 2 yet. The computer AI in the first one is like balls tough. Like, it gives me a run for my money. And I'm very good at Tetris. I'm okay at Puyo Puyo, but still, I should be able to run circles around the computer. And I'm putting them on like normal, and they're still giving me a run for my money. So
just so you know, Dave. Just so you know, Dave, I'm talking to the audience. Dave doesn't know this yet, but we will be back at PAX next year together.
Oh, hell yeah, we will.
And Dave will be signed up for a Tetris tournament at PAX. He will.
Hell yeah.
He will be.
Hell yeah.
He will be.
You know it.
Because he loves Tetris. He loves Tetris.
I do. It's the number one desert island game. There is no other answer. I'm sorry.
Super Mario World.
No. It doesn't have the infinite replayability. I'm sorry.
It does. It
doesn't. You know all the secrets and all the stages. It's gonna get boring. And then it's a different game every time.
Then you get beat it with the Mario head shells.
Okay, and then what's that done? Then what do you do after the 3 days of constant gaming? You're done.
You play it again.
It's a good game. It's not a desert island game.
I think it's
different criteria. Well, all right. Well, I also got Far Cry 4 for the PS4, Rainbow Six Siege, the Advanced Edition for the Xbox One. Sorry, and
what makes it advanced?
It's probably got extra online tchotchkes or whatever.
If you bought it, was this one of the 10 games you bought used? Well, the games you bought used from the channel. Okay, yeah, it probably has some codes that were already redeemed.
That's fine. It's still the Advanced Edition, Dan.
I know.
And I got Tropico 5, not the Ultimate Edition, the Penultimate Edition, which means there's an edition that's better than this edition. But I still got it for the Xbox One, and I picked up the classic, which we have talked about on the show before, Lemmings for the PC. That is just the jewel case. That is not the big box. I know it came out in several different releases from different companies.
I got the Genesis Lemmings, right? Remember, I picked that up at GameStop.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't at GameStop. It was at the Bookends or whatever.
Book Off. Yeah.
Book Off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For like a quarter of what the price is going for.
Yeah, man. Hey, you got it for a steal. So what did you pick up this week, Dan? Or month?
Oh, I got some good stuff.
Oh, okay.
So limited run.
You were groaning like, oh my god.
I got some good stuff.
All right.
A mixture of GameStop, eBay, Lukey, and just some random pickups I found. I won't say not garage sales, but like listen, Brooklyn, right? You're walking around Brooklyn and people have like the stoop sales. There we go.
That's right. I ran into a bunch last weekend.
Yeah.
So, found an old Nintendo, but it looked pretty beat up.
First game, have no idea how to pronounce this. It's from Limited Run.
Come on, hit me, Dan. I got you. I'll help you through it.
Mushimi-sama. It's Mushimi-sama. It's a shoot 'em up. I'm sure. Metal Jesus, this would be like a hidden gem for the Switch from Limited Run.
I mean, everything's a hidden gem to him. So yes, the answer is yes.
Definitely a shoot 'em up. I got my copy of Demon Throttle. Remember, we I don't know if this was I don't know if this was an E3 or maybe a Nintendo Direct. No, this was like a Direct Mini at some point earlier this year or last year. And I said, you know what? I really like that game. I'm gonna go pre-order it. And I got it from Special Reserve Games. It finally came in. It actually came in today, funny enough.
Yeah, it's like that Squaresoft game actually. I want to say King's Bounty, but it's not King's Bounty. King's Knight? King's Knight.
I know what you're saying. I can't think of the name.
It's King's Knight. It's basically King's Knight, but like with a Western theme and not brutal difficulty. And some incredible voice acting. Like the opening scene is like voice acting, and it's made to be like an NES game. That's awesome.
Okay,
that's awesome.
Game I picked up. Actually, this was an Amazon pickup. Yakuza Kiwami 2, which was a remake of the second game.
Hey, nice.
So pick that up because I've been playing Yakuza 0. Been listening to the regular show. I've been playing Yakuza 0, which was a prequel to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I do have Kiwami, the first. I do have Kiwami, so a remake of the first one. So I said the only game I don't have in the Yakuza series is Kiwami 2. So I went and picked that up. A game I thought I picked up for the GameCube, but I ended up buying the PS2 version. Both expensive, well, relatively expensive, not cheap, and that is Virtua Quest. I literally thought I picked this up for the GameCube, but I was incorrect.
Is this the Virtua Fighter like RPG game?
Yes, that is. You would be correct.
Wow, that's crazy.
So
Okay.
so Metal Jesus has, he went to a gaming convention in South Carolina recently, and somebody who helped him film was the GameCube Galaxy guy, right? He loves
Okay.
GameCube, talks about GameCube, and I was watching his videos, and he said this was one of the hidden gems for the GameCube. I went and picked it up, and I accidentally bought the PS2 version. I'm not disappointed by any means because the GameCube version is just as expensive and sold out everywhere. So I'm glad I have the game in general. So I don't really care what system I have it. A game I am glad I have for the GameCube, and that is Evolution Skateboarding. They had two games, I believe, of skateboarding and Evolution Snowboarding. Snowboarding can't really find in box for a price I want, but I got the skateboarding game in box, and I love it when I bought this was an eBay purchase. I love it when you buy it from eBay and they put the little plastic inside the case. I love it when they do that.
Yeah.
That shows me they care. I throw it out, but it shows me they care.
That's funny.
Have I played that game, Evolution Skateboarding? I think that came out for GameCube and PS2. I don't know if it came out for Xbox. I don't think so.
No, that was the one by Konami, right?
This is by Konami, correct?
Yep. So they used that same engine as the secret. It wasn't really that secret, but they put it on the Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence Special Edition. Had a Solid Snake skateboarding game where you would skate on the tanker, based off the Evolution Snow skateboarding engine. They just basically reskinned it and put a Solid Snake in there. So in that sense, yes, I have played it, but I haven't played the actual Evolution skateboarding.
Got it. Okay. I picked up my next pickup was Xbox 360 game, Brave: A Warrior's Tale. From the Brave series. I think there are only 2 or 3 of these games.
The Brave series, not based off the Disney movie, right?
I didn't even know there was a Disney movie called Brave. Was there a Disney movie called Brave? Because it looks like it could be. I mean, it's a cartoonish style art style. It looks like it could.
What's the name of this again?
Brave: A Warrior's Tale. Now, I don't know if I've talked about it on Saturday Morning Retro. I know I've talked about it on a regular show. I am 1/3 Native American.
This is definitely not that. No.
Okay. It's Xbox 360 family of games. Family games. It has it right there on it.
I've never seen this before.
Well, there are at least 2. I think there was. I could be wrong about this. A Game Boy Advance game, but
there's a PS2 one too. Apparently, the Search for the Spirit Dancer.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the first one, and this is the second one. That's why I say it's series.
Yeah.
I am 1/3 Native American, and I always look to see if there are Native American video games. Coming up actually in July, every July, there's a powwow in Queens, New York, and maybe a week or 2 later, the powwow in the Hamptons, and it's the only time every year I get to see my father's side of the family, which is mostly Native American. That's my Native American side of the family. Funny enough, so I bring that up to say that I said, you know what? I didn't even know there was a second game, and it was on the 360, and I picked it up. So, Brave: A Warrior's Tale.
Nice.
Next game you know what? I'm going to save this for last. I'm going to jump ahead real quick. I'm going to save that for last.
Bring it in the suspense and Dave, Dan is a consummate professional.
Dave will appreciate why I'll save that for last. But I got some Sega Saturn games, because Sega Saturn, my most underrated console of all time, in my opinion.
Me and the fans are well aware.
So I got Cyber Speedway, complete in box, by the way, both games. Cyber Speedway. It's the F-Zero game that came out on Sega Saturn. I put it that way. Not as good, but still, it's the F-Zero style. They came out there. So, and it was a Sega Saturn exclusive. I love that logo that they have, the exclusive logo. Also, they came out on Sega Saturn. It was exclusive. The Warner Interactive Virtual Racing.
Warner?
Time Warner Interactive. I did not know. I forgot Time Warner made games at one point.
That's right. Well, I mean, Time Warner turned into Warner Brothers Games, right?
But I thought this is the thing I don't know. I'm guessing this is the a different virtual racing game that came out on a Genesis and I guess arcades, because this is totally different logo.
Well, I mean, if it's made by Time Warner, because the virtual racing was made by Sega, that was an in-house thing. Sega.
Well,
Sega
there you know.
I think. Yeah.
Well, now you know. And I did, by the way, before I get into what I something special for Dave, I did pick up PlayStation magazine with Grand Theft Auto Liberty Story, sorry, on the cover.
Sure.
No demo disc of the Warriors. That was cut out of this. But I love my magazines because I love to go through it and see what I missed at the time. But I'm not going to keep you in suspense any longer. I'm going to get through these pickups that I got just so I can talk about with Dave on the show, because I know how much he loves the original Xbox.
Here it comes, baby. I was waiting for this segment to come back where Dan's going to highlight an Xbox One game and go in depth and really fight hard. Really stand for the OG Xbox.
OG Xbox, baby. Yeah, so I'm going to go into some Xbox Well, before I get into the Xbox exclusives, the reasons why, let's go through some of these things, some other games that you should buy on the Xbox. They were better on the Xbox. We got Dead or Alive 2, the Ultimate Edition. I have the first one. This is
I played the hell out of that game, actually. Yeah, there's a hell of a ton of costumes in there.
World War II Prisoners of War by Codemasters.
Right.
Genius at play. I love that little moniker. This was pretty cheap, and I saw this on sort of somebody's like hidden gems list, so I picked it up and wanted to get a chance to play it. Maybe this will be a Saturday morning retro game at some point. I love my Blockbuster exclusives. Outlaw Golf 9 Holes of Christmas, or Xmas. I love this. All new holes for the holiday.
So I think that game was a Blockbuster exclusive. That version?
Because I just said it. Blockbuster exclusive.
Yes. I'm agreeing with you, Dan. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
Which is funny, because like, how much did you spend on Outlaw Golf? Can you say? Was it a lot?
I want to say like maybe $350.
Exactly. So that game was a Blockbuster exclusive. You know what other game was a Blockbuster exclusive? Play Fighter Sculptor's Cut.
A game I also have.
And Final Fight Guy. That was a Blockbuster exclusive.
That's true.
Those games go for a hell of a ton of money.
Well,
Why is it that Outlaw Golf 9 Holes of Christmas extended edition with new holes or whatever the name is goes for $3?
All new holes for the holidays.
Only holes for the holidays. There you go. Why is that game not more expensive?
I want to say because it was probably, a popular game that they made a lot of copies of. I mean, listen, skateboarding, I think it was like, was it skateboarding? I have this game, by the way. I can't think of the name, but it definitely was like a skateboard game. It was like the last release for the N64, and it was a Blockbuster exclusive as well. And that game was like $20. Nothing.
Was there
You
one?
can get that game easy. Yeah. I have it. I own it. I can't think of it. I can't think of the exact name.
Yeah.
It was definitely a skateboarding. It was definitely a skateboarding game. That was like the last.
It's just so weird how that works, right? Because like Clay Fighter is 66 and Sculptor's Cut, right?
Terrible game, by the way.
What?
Terrible game. That's why. Terrible.
Yeah,
game.
exactly. It's a terrible game, right?
Everything can be Little Samson, Dave. Not everything can be Little Samson.
No, but you have to think people pay money for quality, but sometimes people just pay money to pay money because it's rare, and then you get a bunch of people who are willing to pay money because it's kind of rare, and then you go, oh, there's a market for this. It's weird how that works. The intrinsic value is because other people are willing to spend money on it. That's where that value comes in. It's so weird. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I want everybody not to spend money on Little Samson just so I can buy it. Because I don't care about
we can buy it.
Price. I want to have the game. I want to play the game. So, and I don't want to emulate. I want to play it on an NES. That's what I want.
I can play the game almost Nintendo perfect for $0, Dan. So
And I want to play it.
I will
Perfect
own my game
for
and
$2,000.
and not hurt my purchase, because as good as Little Samson is, as amazing as it is not worth $2,000.
None of these things are worth $2,000. But
what? Well, there you go. I'm going to keep my purchase in good condition, because you can play it.
I will say there is one holy grail that I want to own, and I will pay the money for it, which, Lukey has it, and that is Panzer Dragoon Saga, and they have it complete in box for $1,700.
Now that is a lot harder of a game, because it's on the Saturn. It's a CD based game, right? There are some other hurdles with that. But you can own it and get the eyes.
And I want to own it because, I wasn't a part of that argument, at the time. We just got to talk about Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7 or Panzer Dragoon Saga came out around the same time, and people argued what was the best RPG.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to be a part of that conversation. All right, getting back to my original Xbox games. I have Circus Maximus Chariot Wars. So this was like a chariot racing game that was on somebody's hidden gen channel. Can't think of the channel off the top of my head. I want to get that. I got that. I got Midway Arcade Treasures 2. If you're a collector out there, just know that when you get Midway Arcade Treasures, that is totally different than Midway Arcade Treasures 1. Okay, so you have Midway Arcade Treasures, Midway Arcade Treasures 1, 2, and 3. So why they did it that way? It's a little dumb. Yeah. But this one I got it for the Xbox. It has Mortal Kombat 2, 3, Gauntlet 2, Spy Hunter 2, Narc, Cyberball 2072, and Primal Rage, just to name a few. It has a lot of fighting games on it. So that's the reason why I bought it. Now we have the reason to buy an OG Xbox. Okay, these are Xbox exclusive.
All right, hit me, Dan. Hit me. I want to be surprised.
All right, Outlaw Volleyball. Okay.
Oh yeah, from the makers of Outlaw Golf Christmas Association with 39 magical holes.
Holes just for the holiday. Holes just for the holidays. Okay?
Oh my God, Jesus.
Yeah, it has exclusive music sampling that's probably not in here. Nope, not in here. And it features new music from Diffuser, whoever that is.
They were kind of new metal-ish. They were definitely alt rock. Maybe you could call them new metal. They had a hit or two.
All right, and this is Microsoft Game Studios NFL Fever 2003.
Oh my God! Remember that series?
It was the football game of the time. It was the football game of the time. They had Fever.
No.
There were like 3 Fever games.
They had more than 3. They had from 2002 to 2005. So they had 4. 2002, 2003, 2004. I think there was a 2005.
Okay.
There was at least 3. You were 100% right on that. Maybe there was only 3. But nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yes. It was the football game of the time. Come on.
No, because you also had NFL 2K was still going on at that point, and you also had Madden. And NFL 2K was the superior football game.
The graphics of Fever, come on. The graphics of Fever. I mean, listen, I'm not a big football. I mean, I'm a big football fan, but I'm not a football game fan. The graphics of Fever.
NFL 2K5 all day. And that's it.
Okay, well, that came out 2 years after this. I'm talking about Fever 3. I'm talking about Fever 2003.
Madden 2003 was more feature-rich.
All right, well, you know what? Graphics. I said graphics.
I'd have to see a side-by-side on that. You may be right, because it was exclusive, right? It was Microsoft Sports Network or whatever. Yeah.
Also exclusive. Only. I'm not going to say exclusive, because that's what they say now. I'm going to say back to like what they said. Only on the Xbox. And I love that sticker. Only. UFC Ultimate Fighting Championships Tap Out 2. Real Fighters, Real Fighting from TDK.
TDK?
Yeah.
Like the tape manufacturer? Wow, Dan. Okay. You're really selling me on this OG Xbox being an underrated masterpiece with all these.
Come on, if you wanted to play Tap Out 2, it was exclusive on the original Xbox.
Yeah. Okay. What else you got?
Then we have only on Xbox. Knight's Apprentice. Okay?
Well,
Knight's Apprentice.
I don't even
3D
know
action
this game.
adventure game. 3D action adventure game.
Jeez,
Memerinick's Adventures. This game was a hidden gem. I know. When I saw this, I said I definitely want to pick this up. Dave, you got to play this for Saturday Morning Retro one day. You got to, dust off your OG Xbox and play this. Hey, come on! I left the best for last. I knew Dave would love this one because you know what? It had
it's Fable,
Xbox
isn't it?
Live. Xbox Live. Only on the Xbox. Chicago Enforcer.
What?
You played a mobster.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
God! Wait, I'm sorry.
Go to work for Al Capone during the Prohibition era of crime.
Wait, hold on, because I'm looking at the box art for Knight's Apprentice.
Yes.
No,
don't judge a game by its cover.
I'm looking at the gameplay footage and it's not better.
Yeah, you get shield, sword, armor, and strength upgrades throughout the game.
Yeah, okay. And
it features,
and
they had to highlight this. It features an easy pick up and play style of game of all your skill levels.
Wow. Oh wait, I'm looking at Chicago Enforcer now. This may or may not. This may be worse. Oh.
It was made by Kemco.
Yeah, Kemco. Yeah.
Classic. Here are the features. Classic first-person shooter with gangster themes. Xbox Live with 8-player capacity. 10 large-scale levels with a variety of different missions.
So
collect cash to unlock special bonus.
Oh, wow. Oh, there's an escort mission where Al Capone must survive.
There you go.
Riveting.
There you go. You can help save Al Capone, Dave. You can help save Al Capone.
Yeah, that's a hard I just may have to get this game just for the lols.
There you go.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna order this, the Knights Apprentice, and Drake and the 99 Dragons, and yeah, I'm just gonna have to get them all together. I'm just gonna have to make that a thing.
Drake the 99 Dragons already own it. So it's already in the car.
Yeah, the game is literally unplayable. You get hard locked in the game because it's so broken.
It is. I know.
Even official Xbox magazine gave it a 1. They gave it a stinking pile. Oh.
So Dave, it's that part of the show. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. I love doing Saturday Morning Retro. Triple R, where we pick a game and we say this game should be remastered, remake, or an idea from this game should be recycled. This month, what's your Triple R?
Oh, well, in keeping with the theme of Final Fantasy, Dan, the best, objectively, the best Final Fantasy 6.
Right. Oh, 7 already got a remake. I'm sorry, 7 already got a remake. And a remaster.
7 did. And
yeah,
6
the best one. You said the best.
6 has been remastered several times or reworked or ported. There were the GBA versions. They moved it to PlayStation 1 where they had CG intro cinematics. They most recently did the Pixel remasters where they kind of cleaned up some of the Pixel stuff and fixed some bugs in the game and some other quality of life features. But I want a full soup to nuts. I want like a remake.
Okay.
I want a remake visually, but I want the mechanics and the story to all stay the same, if that makes any sense. So I want like a roided up remaster, basically, right? You know, I want, but I want it to retain the original feel. It would be impossible because every time Square does anything to the classics, everyone's up in arms. Some people love it, some people hate it.
You can't please everybody, Dave.
No. But there's nobody in the middle on it. They're all like very divided. But I think it'd be awesome to see the giant Magitech armor walking down in like full 3D, right, with all the steam jets coming out and all the like armor plates kind of moving around and just seeing like Terra on top of that, just like scorching the town in that amazing intro scene, like walking through the snow down to Narsh. Oh, it's never going to happen. I mean, maybe it'll happen, but it's probably never going to happen. But
It's never going to happen.
No, I would definitely want that.
It should. Okay.
It would do gangbusters. People would love it. There's a lot of good visuals that would translate well into like a full 3D remake. So
I want a full remake, soup to nuts remake of the original X-Men Children of the Atom game. Okay?
oh,
I don't want a remaster. I want a full
Mhm.
remake. And listen, Marvel, or I should say Disney, has been doing a great job so far with their video games, right? The video game division.
Yeah.
X-Men is back in the fold, right? Like
Mhm.
that Marvel owns them / Disney. And
Mhm.
I think, I don't know what studio I would want. I don't know if, they have a deal with Capcom where only Capcom can make these games, right? I don't know who owns.
Wait. You wouldn't want Capcom to do it?
No, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying I
Oh,
don't
okay.
want Capcom. I'm
Okay.
just saying I don't know I don't know who owns like the rights to this. Like I don't know if it's both
Oh,
of them.
I see.
So
I see.
like if Marvel or / Disney, I might as well just say if Disney can say, and they can pick any studio, maybe I would want another studio to do it. But
Wow. All
Capcom,
right.
I would want. Well, the last Marvel versus
Infinite.
Capcom game
Infinite.
didn't go so well, right?
Well,
Because it didn't get it.
that's because Capcom didn't put the money into it.
Yeah,
They skimped out, and it shows.
but I would love to see X-Men Children of the Atom come back. I mean, listen, you know what?
100%.
You know what? Saying I want a remake is cheating, because once you put out a remake, then they're gonna put out, a remaster of the original. All right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're gonna get a remaster if you get a remake of some kind.
Right.
So that's what I want. I definitely want a remake. I thought that game was awesome.
Yeah, it's badass.
It was one of the first, it was one of the first fighting games with X-Men, and I own it for the Saturn.
I believe it
So
was, well, out of the Capcom stuff, it was the first in that series. And then they did, I think, Marvel Superheroes, and then X-Men versus Street Fighter, and then Marvel versus Street Fighter, and then Marvel versus Capcom, and so on and so on.
so that's what I want.
Yeah.
Super
Nice.
nuts.
All right. I respect it.
And on that note, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to dive deep into our backlog and talk about Guardian Heroes and Blood. And we're back. All right, Dave. Let's dive deep into our backlog and talk about Guardian Heroes, and Blood. So I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna talk about Guardian Heroes because this was a game I didn't expect to play for Saturday Morning Retro. I sort of just had my Saturn hooked up and I was going through a bunch of Saturn games just to see, what would catch my attention. And I ended up just beating this game the first time. I beat this game 3 times altogether, by the way. And for this, sort of my semi review, I just want to put an asterisk next to it because I own the Japanese version for Guardian Hero, not the American version, not the PAL version, and it is all in Japanese. So a lot of the story elements, I had to look it up. I had to look at a bunch of YouTube videos to see what the heck I was doing or why I was doing it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So my review is sort of the gameplay and all that stuff I can talk about, but the story elements, I had to look that up. And Guardian Heroes is an interesting game. It was released in North America in March of 1996, and in Japan, January 26th of 1996, and March 26th of 1996 in America. It was developed by Treasure. Now, if you know who Treasure is, they made a lot of hidden gems for the Genesis during the Genesis era. They made Light Crusaders and Gunstar Heroes, just to name a couple off the top of my head.
Yeah.
This game was published by Sega and released on the Saturn. It's sort of a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up / hack and slash, right? And like I said, I played the Japanese version on my Saturn because I have. I actually played it on my Japanese Saturn. I didn't use my the cartridge so you could make it region free. Didn't know this game had a sequel. Funny enough, sequel was the game Advance Guardian Heroes that came out in 2004 for the Game Boy Advance. So this game does have a sequel if you want to buy it for the Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, just to put things in context, this came out in 1996. We're transitioning from 2D to 3D,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Everything's
And all the
moving.
games were increasingly done, were made in 3D, and 2D was considered old. It was like, oh, your game is in 2D? Like, that's
Yep.
old, because
Yep.
everything had to be 3D, had to be new, had to be, you had to be sort of semi-open world, Mario 64 style, right? So off the back, this game, just from a perception standpoint, before it was actually released, just a lot of just from what I've researched, a lot of people were looking at this game again pre-release. We're looking at this game and saying, "Oh, it's another 2D game." They dismissed it, right? During the development of this game, the team called it a fighting RPG, and I'll get into the RPG element. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing I noticed when I actually booted up this game, I was intrigued. That sort of thing that really caught me was that you had an energy bar, and this is the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing that catches you, that gets your attention, right? It's a beat 'em up, but at the top, sort of at the top of the screen, you have your energy bar and you have your special meter bar, and
Mm-hmm.
and the enemies and the character sort of had a special icon, and the enemies the enemy icon was like moving around. So you had a lot of different things working in this game.
Okay.
So beat 'em ups, you had a lot of enemies on screen.
Sure. This was also how many people could play at a time? It was like at least 4, right?
I think it was 6 people could play it. You
Right.
had
So if you had the
yeah,
adapter and all that, so you got 6 different life meters on there, plus all the different icons, right? It's got to be a little. It's got to be a little bit.
well,
rough
you could
with the
play.
UI.
Well, I get into that because you could
Okay.
play. The game had 2 modes. You had the story mode, and it included a versus mode, where it was up to 6 players that compete, using all main characters in like an arena mode style game. So 6 players for the arena game, but I think you can only play 4 players for the story. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that because I don't know. I don't play multiplayer games. I only play it solo. But 6 players for the arena style game. That
Mm-hmm.
part I know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the story's wild, and imagine playing a Jap. I thought Guardian Heroes when I first picked this game. I picked this game up years ago. I thought this was just the regular beat 'em up, like Streets of Rage, right? Like nobody cares about the story of Streets of Rage as much, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not invested in. I mean, it's the untold story of you got to save your girlfriend, right?
Yeah. I
From the
mean,
bad guy.
that's what every game is essentially. Either your daughter,
Yeah,
your girlfriend, or whatever. Save the president in the case of bad dudes,
yeah. So
right?
you're not really caring about sort of the dialogue options, right? But this game, you need to care about the dialogue options, and I didn't know that. If I knew that, I probably would have spent the money for the American version, which I'll talk about how much that costs at the
Is
end.
this
At the
kind of like
end,
a choose your own adventure type situation?
it is a little bit. So
Yeah.
the story. Let me
Mm-hmm.
get into the story, which I had to look up, and I'm taking this from Wikipedia. So
Sure.
I apologize if everything isn't as one to if this isn't as 1-to-1, because I got the Japanese version, so I can't read Japanese. But as per the wiki, a supreme being created the universe to find ultimate warriors to hire as its personal soldiers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
a vicious battle waged between Earth and the sky spirits, and you're battling this evil wizard who wants to go to he wants to go to battle with the sky wizards, and it's something to do with a sword. In the beginning of the game, 4 warriors find a sword of the valiant
Mm-hmm.
warrior, and I know I did get this sword. I picked this sword up. I had no idea the significance of this sword because I
Yeah.
cannot read any of the text. But the story sort of splits off into various different paths. Some involved ultimately fight against the sky spirits, the earth spirits, and or supreme being that made the universe, while others wind up, with the warriors.
Okay.
The biggest issue about this game, I would say, the biggest thing that I didn't like especially if you can't read Japanese during the story cutscenes, is you cannot skip the cutscenes at all. You have to watch them. So, even in 1996, you had to watch them. I that kind of sucked. I wish you could be able to just skip through. But the story is important. Again, this is not Streets of Rage. It's not a regular beat 'em up. The story is actually important. This game is pretty big for a 1996 beat 'em up game for Saturn. It had 30 plus levels, but you don't really see all the levels because because of the game. It allows you to alter the storyline through your actions. You get to choose between a number of branching paths that lead to multiple different endings. So I remember when I first beat this game and I told you, I said, hey, my ending is different from sort of a walkthrough I saw online. That's because we picked different paths. So I didn't know they had different paths. I had no idea. And they actually have a karma meter. So if you're killing civilians or enemies, it can change your karma meter, which again, didn't know that either in the game because everything is in Japanese. The thing that makes this unique for beat 'em ups is that you had 3 different planes. You had the middle, front, and back plane. So that was sort of interesting where you're walking in 3 different planes and you see enemies coming. And it does help when you have a lot of enemies in one plane. You could just jump to a different plane and make them come to you and use that as sort of an attack strategy, right? I definitely had to do that a lot of times, which again can help when there's a lot of enemies on screen. Another thing that was unique about the game for the time, and I kind of was really into, is that each character played differently. Each character didn't have the same moveset. I couldn't do the same moves with this character that I did with this character, right? They have they have extensive moveset, which I'm not. I mean, we talked about it on the last show about the Ninja Turtle games. I like the Turtles in Time over Shredder's Revenge. I like Shredder's Revenge. Shredder's Revenge is a great game, by the way.
Shredder's Revenge infinitely
better.
Sorry.
Not infinitely better. I like Turtles in Time because it has a simplistic move list, right? Compared to the extensive move list as Shredder's Revenge. And that is no different here. I like the fact that you could play each character differently and have different moveset, but they have an extensive move list, which is one of the things I did not like about this game.
Too many
moves.
Was it that it was overwhelming, or you just what was the because
the same thing with Shredder's Revenge? It's you have so many different moves, and if you die, you're like, should I use another move? Just keep me simplistic with these are my 4 or 5 moves, and not
options,
like 20 different
options. Options keep it open, right? They keep it varied. Like you don't have to use the other moves if you don't want.
Well, you feel like now you have to, especially if you lose or you're losing or you're not in a good situation. You feel like, well, now if I were to research these other moves, then
it allows you to experiment a little bit, because some moves are better against other enemies.
It feels a little overwhelming.
Okay.
When you have too many moves, in my view. I used the brute force, not magic attack. I used the big brute force guy. I beat that game. I beat the game with him twice, and I used magic on the third. Yeah, pretty much. Blocking is very important in this game. You have to know how to block. With jumping to different planes and blocking, you use that in tandem, right? When you get a lot of enemies, it's always good, especially if you're playing by yourself. You're not playing with a partner, right? Because beat 'em ups are kind of made towards playing. It was the multiplayer game of the time, right? Where you play with multiple you play with multiple people.
Yep.
To get through all the big, a lot of enemies on screen. So, the different planes and blocking are things that you really need to utilize.
Yeah, that's
when you're playing this game.
That's an interesting mechanic, the block. I know I played the remaster on Xbox 360, I think, which they came out a couple of years ago, and
2011.
Yeah. The blocking, you don't. Final Fight didn't have it. Streets of Rage doesn't have it. Turtles doesn't have blocking. They have like evasive maneuvers, but they don't have like a block. It's not really that common, so that's actually kind of neat to see.
And also not common, level up system. I mean, and a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
That was unique for the time, which became it.
Yeah.
Which made it sort of a fighting RPG, is what the developers called it when they were making this. It took about 2 years to develop this game,
Right.
because it came out in 2006 and development started in '94. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, not 2006, '96, and it came out and it started development in '94. After each stage, the points you accumulate, you would use to upgrade your character. Strength, magic ability, blocking. You would use to level up your character. I'll be honest, I did not. I knew it, but I didn't know it. I knew it because at the end of each stage, I would see, hey, you can level something up, but I couldn't see what I was leveling up because it was all in Japanese.
Yeah, right. You didn't. They didn't have the little icons to be like, here's a sword. It's like, oh, it's power, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess correctly, because I was like, the
Right.
first thing, I wonder if this is power, and I would like level this up, right? Like I would sort of evenly level things up, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So you have intelligence, magics, power, blocking. You had all these different things that you can level up. It Another thing that people really didn't like about this game. Well, the thing that people didn't like about this game is, if you start a new game, you can't use your level up character, right? All that stuff is lost, and you start from scratch.
Oh,
So
okay.
the save system, you can save. Obviously, you can save in the game, but only that playthrough. So you can't do a second playthrough, which you need to do if you want to do the different branching paths. You can't level up, max that character, right? You have to start from scratch. So, again, I said at the time, this was a game that came out when everything was going 3D, but they used 2D sprites, right? And I like the graphics of this game. I wish the background sort of had like that parallax scrolling, like the SNES. I wish some of the background levels could sort of move, but I do like the levels overall. You're in a castle. You're in, I'm assuming, heaven, because we're in the clouds. Again, I'm taking my story elements from Wikipedia because I have no idea what I was doing when I actually was playing the game. It's a good graphically. It's good. I like the uniqueness of this game, of being a 2D game with all these different elements, branching paths, as a beat 'em up and a leveling up system, and not a 3D game. I think if they would try to make this 3D game, it would have been terrible. This is truly the equivalent of a hidden gem, right? Because the best thing about the game is it's a 2D game that you can level up into branching paths. I just don't like the extensive move list.
Wow. All right.
It is a game that most certainly holds up today. It obviously came out in '96. This predates Metacritic, but the HD remake, which was just an HD remake, I believe. I don't think they really changed anything else. I could be wrong about that, but in the short amount of time I had to do this until the show, I saw that I think it was just an HD remake. It had a Metacritic score of 83, and this game of the time was widely received around the same, right, in the 80s, 80 to 85. This game is hell of expensive. It is you can get it now complete in box on Lukey Games for $461.97, or you can go to eBay and get the Japanese version for $50.
It's quite a difference.
That's
quite a difference right there.
Just know you can beat the game if you get the Japanese version. You are playing this game strictly for the mechanics and not the story, because you have no idea what path you're choosing.
Yeah, right. All right. So you really got to make a bit of a sacrifice there. But I mean, it's still kind of playable. You would just kind of figure it out,
No, it's 100% playable. Again, I beat it 3 times. The Japanese version. Have no idea what I was doing, as far as story wise.
Yeah. They have.
It's definitely playable.
They have translations. You can get all that stuff translated from GameFAQs.
Yeah, I'd rather spend the $500 if that's the case. Get the American version.
I guess. I mean, you just have to have it up while you're kind of playing the game. Put it up on the other computer.
That's too much work.
No, it's not. Especially for that game, which has very little dialogue, except for the leveling up stuff and then the branching paths.
And the story, the story cutscenes you can't skip.
I mean, I get that. I get that. That's like a little bit of work, but okay.
So I would, if I had to give this game a score.
Well, you do, Dan, because that's what we do on the show.
I do. I would give it an 8.5.
Oh, all right. 8.5.
It's a really good game.
8.5. Okay.
It's a really good game, and I'll be honest, I'm not gonna buy this now, but around Christmas time, I may pick it up, complete in box. You never know.
Okay.
Because I really like this game.
Okay.
All right. So, Dave, tell me about Blood. Because
when tell you all about Blood, Dan.
Because when you first told me, you're like, "Hey, my Saturday morning, hey, I know what game I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do Blood," and you just said Blood. I'm like, "What?
I'm gonna do Blood.
you gonna talk about Blood?"
Okay. If you know about Duke Nukem, you should know about Blood.
I heard of it. I haven't heard of it in a long time, but it's been so long. But yeah, tell me about Blood.
Well, I'm gonna give you some background on Blood. So it came out in North America first on May 21st, 1997. Came out in Europe June 20th, 1997, very close to each other. And then a worldwide release via the remaster of Blood, May 9th, 2019. So you could pick it up. This is made by Monolith Productions, not to be confused with Monolith Soft, that make the Xenoblade series. It was published by GT Interactive Software, which was a very popular publishing studio at the time. Released only on the PC, which is kind of interesting because a lot of the games like Doom and Duke Nukem were being released on every platform known to man, but this just stayed on the PC. As a first-person shooter, some would call it a boomer shooter, I guess. It's a shooter of that time, and obviously I played this on the PC. So a little bit of background on this game, some stuff that I didn't actually know about, but it started in development in 1995 by a different studio called Q Studios, which was acquired by Monolith. I guess they liked their tech or whatever it was, and they're like, hey, this is pretty cool. We're going to buy you out, and you're going to be part of Monolith Productions. So, and it's based off the build engine, right? I talked about Duke Nukem a little bit. Duke Nukem, I believe, was the first game on the build engine, and this was an enhanced version of the build engine. So it does have some new features, like you could do rooms above rooms, wherein you could kind of look down and see another room. You really couldn't do that in Duke Nukem. It was kind of a technical limitation. And even that was a little bit limited, but it was a step above what Duke Nukem had, which I thought was kind of cool. Swinging doors, which, I mean, my God. But if you go back and play, Duke Nukem 3D, I believe they don't have any swinging doors. They're all kind of lifts and rising like garage doors and whatever else. And you don't really notice because it just kind of like fits in with the theme of everything. But real-time shadows. They had a bunch of new lighting effects in there, so that was like kind of cool. Didn't look a hell of a ton of different, but it did look a little bit better side by side to Duke Nukem visually. So they made two expansions for it: the Plasma Pack, developed by Monolith, and Cryptic Passage, developed by Sunstorm Interactive. So it was an official add-on to the game, but wasn't developed by the original studio, which was kind of a thing at the time. You'd see a lot of unofficial packs that would come out for Duke Nukem and Doom and whatever else. This was, I believe, officially licensed, just made by a third party. And they made a sequel, which is where this franchise begins and ends. They made a sequel, Blood 2, The Chosen, in 1998. I believe it came out October, November. And
was that only PC too?
Yep. And it was terrible. It's terrible. They made the move to 3D. It was right around the time that Half-Life came out, the original Half-Life, which blew every other first-person shooter out of the water. But yeah, graphics weren't great. There was a lot of bugs in the game. The multiplayer was lackluster. Everything about it was just not good. But anyway, so the story of this game, you play as Caleb, right? He is an undead 20th century gunslinger seeking revenge against the dark god Chernobog, which I believe I did a little bit of.
That's a 90s storyline.
Yeah, right. It was all like the goth kind of culture was kicking into high gear, so really kind of leaned into it. Yeah, and I believe it's Slavic in nature, the Chernobog, Slavic mythology or whatever it is. It's appeared in a bunch of other games. I think Kingdom Hearts and a couple other games have had the Chernobog, spelled a little bit differently, but it's the same mythology. And you go through 4 different episodes in the original game, and you have to find your friends and your girlfriend, and then eventually defeat the Chernobog at the end of the game. That's how the 4th episode concludes. And as far as the gameplay goes, if you play Doom,
wait, so it's episodic.
Well, it's episodic in the same way that Duke Nukem is episodic.
Gotcha.
So
okay,
you go like level to level, but they're all kind of like linked together, right? So like in like Duke Nukem, you start off and you're in the city, and then you go into the little restaurant, and you go into like the movie theater, and then that leads into the next level. And at the end of every level, it culminates in a boss battle. So yeah. So it's episodic like that, and they like kind of break it down as much, like all the way to the point when you beat the boss of the episode, it rolls the credits, and then it takes you back to the main screen.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I played this game like vaguely, like one time at a friend's house back in the 90s.
Okay. I mean, it's not groundbreaking, and it's a first-person shooter. It's just kind of the evolution, right? We went from Doom to Duke Nukem, where you could actually like aim around, and had a lot more like lighting effects and whatever else. And this was a slightly enhanced version of Duke Nukem visually. The cool thing about it though is like it's like early 19th century, like 1920s, 1930s. So you get a lot of that kind of like old-timey feel and tech, and when you go through like the hospital or like the old churches, like it's just everything just like feels it feels really cool. Like they like put a lot of effort into it. So I think like that's where like some of the charm comes in. But it's pretty standard as far as an FPS goes. Some of the new things they did. So this game has 10 weapons, just like Duke Nukem does. Well, technically it's got like 12 or 13, because it's got like 3 different types of explosives, TNT that you can toss out. So there's regular TNT, which you'll light and then just toss and it'll explode. There's proximity TNT. So if somebody comes close to it, it'll set it off. And then there's like remote detonator. So they apparently had remote detonator technology back in the 20s and 30s. So, which I mean, maybe maybe they had that. But you also get guns like you get like a Tesla cannon, like a portable Tesla cannon, which is awesome. Tommy guns, shotguns. You get like a voodoo doll, and there's some like really cool stuff in here. You can also get one of the best power-ups, the Guns Akimbo power-up, which will give you 2 guns for most of the weapons. So you can get 2 flare guns, you get 2 rocket launchers, you get 2 Tesla guns, and that's like badass, right? So you are wasting more ammo, but when you come across like a room full of enemies, you just want to like spray the whole entire room, and that's really satisfying. Like that's super cool. But as far as like the gameplay goes, it's a little cheap. And I know like Duke Nukem had this too, a little bit. When you enter a room and there's just like a ton of enemies, and it's like, oh God, right? You gotta be like within like a millisecond, your fingers got to be so close to the left mouse button so you can click right away. So there was a lot of times where you'd like turn a corner and you try and like take a beat to like survey the scene, and the enemies would already be shooting at you. So it's like, oof. So I'm not gonna lie, I did have the quick save and quick load. You know, I kind of wore those buttons out on the keyboard, right? Because, you know, if you take way too much damage and you're down to like, 20 or 10 health, it's like, oh God, this is not. Gotta go back. So, and I remember kind of doing that back in the day. There was a lot of saving and reloading and whatnot. I try and keep it to a minimum, and but they really kind of. I wish the enemy AI was better. I wish the enemy placement was a little bit better, because you kind of get surprised. Even though you're trying to be careful coming around a corner, you're still going to get sniped every single time. You're going to get cultists that are sitting up top with their Tommy guns, or you're going to get a giant flying gargoyle that's like coming in from the right hand side. Like you're always going to get surprised. So there's really not much you can do about it. You just kind of have to be ready with the left mouse button. I did kind of like. So some of the sound clips, right? Because it's in the same vein as Duke Nukem, where he's like spouting off like clips, little one-liners and whatnot, and they're taken from movies like They Live, and referencing like Army of Darkness and whatnot. A lot of the pop culture stuff that was like around that time, and some of those same exact clips appear in Blood as well. But there's also like a bunch of other ones too. So that kind of like adds to the overall like theming. But there's some specific levels that are just like you go through like the Shining Mansion. There's like one where you're at Camp Crystal Lake, essentially. They have references to Friday the 13th and Jaws and like Poltergeist. So that's like really cool, and you can really tell where the references are. You'll see like Freddy's outfit like kind of hung up on the wall next to like a giant furnace, and you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. So that stuff is great, and like every level in the original 4 episodes is 100%. Like theming wise, it's really good. It's good. Audio is solid, like sound effects and everything is solid. The musical tracks are a little bit light, so they do have CD audio, but there's only like 7 tracks, and there's close to 40 levels in the game, so you hear a lot of the stuff over and over again, and they're fine atmospheric music. They kind of add to the moment, but once you've heard, track 5 for the 20th time, it's like, they could have added some more there. So sound effects on point. They have kind of positional audio, so if you're wearing like headphones and whatnot, you can really kind of hear where the sound effects are coming from, and they kind of dissipate as you move away from them. So that was like kind of neat. Those are some of the enhancements of the build engine and all that. Best thing about this game, classic, old school boomer shooter fun. I mean, if you like Doom, you like Duke Nukem, you will like Blood, 100%. So if that's your jam, I highly recommend checking this game out. And like I said before, worst thing about the game is the cheap enemy AI and the enemy placement. I wish that was better. I wish that was a little enhanced. Because I didn't actually mention this, but I did play the 2019 remaster from Night Dive Studios and they used the Kex engine. They ported that over and all that. It was more quality of life enhancements. They didn't necessarily mess with the game itself or the overall gameplay so much. So they didn't really tweak with the enemy AI or anything like that. They just had more or less what was in the original game in terms of the gameplay and the game options and whatnot. Yeah. And it's funny because you mentioned that Guardian Heroes wasn't around when Metacritic was around, right?
No, but I did reference overall reception. Different gaming magazines gave it, like in between an 8 and 8.5.
Okay.
But I did reference the HD version that came out that I think was only a HD version port. It wasn't like they changed any of the mechanics. I could be wrong about that.
No, I think you're right, because I remember playing that back in the day. Yeah.
And that was the Metacritic score that I was basing my review off of.
Okay. So they had Metacritic scores here, and I did read a couple of them, or at least a couple first paragraphs and whatnot, and it didn't seem like they were talking about the 2019 remaster. So I guess maybe they went back and kind of culled the reviews from the time and like put them up. But regardless, overall 82 on Metacritic, right? This is the PC version, the only version. 8.8 out of 10 on the user scale. Best review from Adrenaline Vault, a perfect 100, which...
Wow.
Okay. And worst out of the bunch, 6 out of 10 from Computer Games Magazine, if you remember them. And if you want my review, which is the most important, what I would give...
The only thing that matters, Dave.
That's
what
right.
do you give Blood for the PC?
I'm going to give it a 7.5. And the point... And the 0.5 comes in with the nostalgia, and the theming and everything else. Because if I were to be more objective, maybe I'd give it a 7. Now, I say that with the caveat of that the game is still like super fun. The game is really fun. Highly recommend it. Still fun to pick up. But objectively, the enemy AI and the enemy placement isn't the greatest. And also, the levels kind of suffer from, I don't know what necessarily the term is, but just kind of giant maze-like corridors, right? The levels are so big and so many winding paths, and there's like 6 different, possibly up to 6 different keys that you can get per level to like complete it, which is insane. And you have to remember, okay, where is the spider door, right? Or where is the fire door, right? And you're like, oh, I saw that maybe all the way back in the beginning of the game. You go all the way back there. No, it's the knife door. And it's like, ugh. So it's still fun and all that, but I mean, it kind of suffers from the old school FPS tropes of the time, But
Gotcha.
Still a good time. Still a good time. And if you want to get this game, they actually don't have it. Blood money came up, so there's that game. But if you want to get this game, it is $300 for a sealed copy on eBay currently. $300 right now. When I looked it up originally, I only saw a sealed copy of Cryptic Passage, which was the first expansion. That is no longer there, but you can get a regular copy of Blood sealed for $300. Which, tempting, because it'd be nice to own this nice big box PC game from back in the day, a little bit of old school nostalgia, but it's a little bit pricey.
It's a little bit pricey.
Yeah.
It's a little bit pricey.
It's a little bit pricey.
Yeah, I'll emulate the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have to emulate it. Anyway. You can just get the digital version.
I'll just get the digital version. Yeah,
$10.
Oh, you know what? Limited run. This is a limited run game. Come on, put out a Blood version.
It's funny you say that, Dan, because they do have a special edition on limited run, the Night Dive Studio remake, for $150. So they do have it. You can get it, which is a lot more affordable. It is the newer version.
PC or
no? Yeah, it's only on PC. Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, put it out on the Switch. Come on, put it physical. Put it out on the Switch.
Wow, they'd have to make a whole new port for it. Yeah, have to make a whole new port. But it's pretty awesome. It comes with a bloody mouse pad with like colored gel. I'm assuming it's not real blood. Colored gel inside. You get a little.
No. Of course, it's not real blood.
I mean, it'd be awesome if it was.
It would be. I mean, what kind? Whose blood would it be?
Well, I mean, you'd have to. You get it from a cadaver or something like that. Get it from a body that's already dead. It's fine. They can send to it or whatever.
How about some goat's blood?
Okay. I mean, sure.
It could
as
be
long as you kill the goat humanely.
Yeah.
But you do get a little Caleb action figure. You get some stickers.
I
you get a little.
Think that would be sanitary. Real blood.
It's
open it up.
It's encased, Dan. It's encased in plastic.
But people can open it up. Come on.
Well, I mean, you could, but I wouldn't recommend it. So there you go. There you go. You can get $150 if you want the collector's edition, the Blood Fresh Supply collector's edition on PC on a limited run, or if you want to snag that sealed in-box copy, $300 on eBay. So there you go.
All right.
So that is episode 23 in the books, folks, and it's been a good one. I mean, little trip down memory lane with some late 90s classics here. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can check out all the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.